You know why I love to make these kind of videos? It's because it means we actually got to play some games this month. Heck yes. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Wolfpack. I finally have a very cool way of integrating this series seamlessly together with the daily vlogs because it fits perfectly. It's just like a casual thing. They're both casual together. So I might as well make it part of the daily vlog series going forward. Now, with that said, I hope you all had a wonderful gaming month because the last month we had, which was for May, got some spicy games played, meaning some games out of the norm wasn't always the same thing. For instance, the first game I played was Harvest. So, okay, that's an oldie, but there are a lot of other new games too. So hang in there with me. The first game that we got played in May was Harvest. Now this one continues to get played because it's just so fun. I love it because it's easy worker placement, low stakes, and at the same time, I love the scoring system because you don't really know who's gonna win it to the very end. I think that's why it continues to hit our table. So that one is slowly becoming like a long time favorite for sure, especially for worker placement. And then right after that, I got to teach some new friends Andromeda's Edge, which is always a fun time. I love teaching that game, love playing that game, obviously. And I got to teach two more friends this one. Now it's interesting because everyone always has their unique struggle about learning the game. For this particular group, I think they were struggling a lot with like how many actions you have available to you. And it's also, I'm obviously biased because I played it so many times too, but still I'm remembering what it was like to learn it the first time, since it was like so similar to Dwellings. And here's the thing. Yes, you have a lot of options you can do, and it may seem overwhelming, but I say this time and time again, and it's that at the end of the day, you're only doing one thing in your turn. You either place a ship or you bring it back. And that continues to kind of get everyone grounded to one point so they don't feel too overwhelmed. And then they think back like, oh, okay, actually, even if I can go to all these other regions and gather all these moons on this side of the planet and fight all these raiders, at least at the end of the day, I'm trying to do one thing. So that helps a lot with new players learning Andromeda's Edge. Okay, and then from there, I got to play, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this one yet, but I got to play a new game that is a newer version of a classic made for a different audience. Okay, so I think I can talk about this because it's already on like Amazon, it's on retail. So I got to play Sandcastles of Burgundy because we did shoot the commercial for it and shot pictures for it as well. Very interesting game because it is tailoring that classic Castles of Burgundy mechanics to a younger audience, to kids. And I love the way they seamlessly kind of integrated that. I think it's also a bit more mature than its intended audience. It was fun being able to shoot that one, and I'm excited for people to get their hands on Sandcastles for sure. Now, from there, the first like really new game to me was Murder on the Rock. So we got to film at a castle. If you haven't seen that entire series, I posted a lot about it. And we basically went out to Indiana and got to play a bunch of games. And of course, everyone else brought, like, I think everyone brought games except me, which is a thing. It's honestly a thing. It's not that I don't like bringing games to these events like this. It's just that I want to experience everyone else's games. But who knows, maybe in the future I'll change it up and bring something for once. But one game that Danny Standring brought was Murder on the Rocks. Now this one, I think it was on crowdfunding. I don't know where it's at the time of this recording. So in this game, you have one murder, just like One Night Ultimate Werewolf and like many other party games at this point. But what's different about this game is that the murderer is going to kill one person every single round. And then that person, like the victim that dies, they have to eventually work together with every single victim. But then they put out one card. And that card is going to give a piece of artwork that has to be able to tell everyone else in the group that is still alive who the murderer is. So no one knows who the murderer is. They're trying to figure out who the murderer is. I think there were also some little quirks about it where like you have a drink potion thing that it comes with, and you can, that's why it's called Murder on the Rocks, because you're supposed to mix together a drink and then have like the smell be a hint or something like that. But the version that we played, we didn't play with the drinks or like the smelling stuff. All we did was play with the art cards. And I think the concept was cool, but the art was too arbitrary that like it's so hard to playtest the game like that because the art is just so abstract. it's not abstract as in like the style of art is abstract, but more so the art is abstract as in you don't really know what to piece together. For instance, like there's a card, and on that card, it could have a bathtub, and in the bathtub, there's like a necklace and all of these other random items scattered across the floor, broken glass windows. So I'm like, okay, I have this card, but then the murderer has a ballroom dance floor. So I'm like, how can I tell them that the murderer is in the ballroom and has like all these luxurious necklaces when my card that I'm like the card that I'm choosing from has a bathroom and a forest and just like a random starry like dream. It's just weird to connect the pieces. On top of that, everyone has their own way of interpreting information, so that just becomes a mess. I can honestly see it being more of a drinking game. It's not one that I would back personally, just because I want some more like cemented information that we can use. So I think those art cards should have some words paired with it, or have details that are all linked together. There should be a commonality between all the cards, and there isn't in this one, which kind of makes it lack that connection that you're missing in this game. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun to play with everyone. Like honestly, like playing games with them the entire time was just fun just to play with them. But the game itself, it's not for me. Now, Excalibur, yes, we did cover it. However, the game itself is so much fun. Like I want to just make a review about it because it's such a quick game to talk about, but it's a really fun party game, and it's almost a little bit heavy, not heavier, but like there's more to it. And I feel like calling it a party game may not fully like give weight to how good this game is. So this is a deduction game, and you ultimately have 3 swords that make up this middle pile, which is really cool because that's the map. And they're like these really nice metal premium swords, at least in the collector's edition that we played. And then scattered around those sections are all of these, I'm going to call them tiles. Everyone was calling them different things: chips, tiles, pieces. I'm going to call them tiles or chips, whatever. These tiles are scattered all across Excalibur, and your goal in this game is to be the one by the very end to hold Excalibur. Now, the most fun part about this game for me, it is a deduction game, not a social deduction game. So you don't necessarily have to like read people, because everyone has different abilities that they're playing. Like you would have a hand of 4 chips, and each of them would have something unique for you to do. Like the priest, I think, was able to look for Excalibur in the middle, and like if they find Excalibur or they find a sword in general, then they can yell huzzah. Or the thief that can steal chips. And then there are also unique and powerful characters, which are like the yellow border characters. These golden characters all have very unique strengths, and they have like the classic medieval names. Mordred, Arthur's crazy strong. The Green Knight, crazy strong. This is gonna be like my go-to party / travel game because I love the premium chips. I love what you're trying to do in this game, and it's just so easy to like take on. At the same time, the asymmetric abilities is what's going to appeal to gamers like us. So absolutely loved it. Had so much fun with it, and yeah, it's gonna be a very, very exciting campaign. Now, I also lost my voice the night before we filmed because I ended up playing Slam Throne. Now, I've been talking about Pogs for a bit throughout these daily vlogs when I'm cooking and stuff, and it's funny because I finally got to experience Pogs again after just talking about it, but this time in a much more modern format called Slam Throne, which is so fun. Now, this is a dexterity game, and if you've never played Pogs before, how it works is you have a stack of chips, like cardboard chips. Your goal is super easy. You just take one chip, like a thicker one that's thicker than the other ones, which are like thin cardboard, and you just slam it down. You slam it down on that column, and then you flip it over. Like your goal is to destroy the other person, and every time you are flipping over your pogs or chips, that's actually the other person's health. And then what's crazy cool about Slam Throne is that everyone has a unique ability. You all know how much I love asymmetry. So like the character that I was playing with can heal over time. So healing in this case, I would get some of my stacks back from the other player. So like if they took out like 5 chips, I would heal 2 every turn. So then instead of 5 chips flipped over, they would just flip over 3. And there's a lot of fun that you can have with this one. I only got to play with a couple of characters, and I know that they're coming out with these individual packs that you could buy at like Gen Con. So sign me up for that. I will be there getting some Slam Throne because that is so nostalgic, and I love how modern they made this game. I love all of Manny's games, so this is not a surprise to me at all. Let's talk about my least favorite game of May 2025, which is wholeheartedly Skull King. I said it, okay? I said it. Skull King is flat out not a game for me. This is a card game that completely overstays its welcome. And I just think it's so overhyped. In Skull King, it's a trick-taking game. And your goal is to win a trick every single round. And there are different rankings of cards with like the ultimate pirate king being the strongest one. But then there's like a mermaid, which can beat the pirates or something like that. And there are different ranks of cards. But the twist about Skull King is that you are bidding every single round. So you're not always trying to win a trick, because if you're bidding 0, you don't want to win any tricks. And if you're bidding 1, then throughout the entire round, you only want to win 1 card. And every round, you get 1 more card than the last round. And it lasts for like 8 rounds. Like we played this as a 4 to 5 player game, and it was like an hour and 45 minutes. I'm like, yo, again, my friends that I was playing with made it way more fun than the actual game itself, because the game is a hard pass for me. I'm just like, we're doing the same thing around. Like I just don't find that fun in a game where it's like, I'm trying to get the best card and I'm trying not to get best card. It just wasn't for me. It was a big miss, and I don't need to play that game again. I'll play that game to just hang out with friends and not be a party pooper. But in the back of my head, when I'm like not trying to say out loud, is that I don't have to play this game going forward. Okay, so that was my least favorite of May 2025. And then another, I don't think this is a trick-taking game too. So this one, I liked it so much that I did end up buying it. And it's called What's Cookin'. This one, Danny introduced this one to us too. It's a real-time game. And it's just funny because I can see myself playing this with family, where you have multiple recipes on the board. And if you've ever played Speed, it's just like that, because it's a real-time game. So it may not be for many of you, because I know like a lot of the Wolfpack community here likes playing heavy games. So it's kind of funny when I talk about lighter games like this. But either way, I guess I would consider myself an omni gamer, since I play all kinds of games, minus co-op most of the time. Now, with these multiple recipes on the board, you have a hand of ingredients, and your goal is to play ingredients in different piles in order to complete those recipes. And the first one in real time to complete those recipes is the one that's going to win that trick/recipe, and then the most recipes by the end of the game wins. So very straightforward game, but I think it's just fun because when you run out of ingredients in your hand, like you can't play anything. Like if you're trying to make a sandwich and all you have is things that don't go in a sandwich, I don't know, potatoes or something like that, then you can't play that card. So if you can't do that, you kind of just wait, just like Speed, for everyone else to like start playing stuff. And I think that's where the tension builds up and it makes it really fun. Plus, every time you play a card, you draw a new ingredient. And I think those combined just makes it's just like silly fun. That's the best way to describe it. Now from there, the last game that we got to play over at Excalibur's castle, at Clayshire Castle, was Enemy Anemone. I talked about this one too in the trick-taking episode. And this one also, it wasn't like, I would rather play this one more than Skull King. It was just a very like normal, straightforward game. There's nothing too enticing about it. It's cool. It's a hangout game. So you're just playing a fish card, and you have to play a different suit color from everyone else, and then highest number wins. So very straightforward, but it's just, it's cool. It's just chill. So not too much to talk about that one. And then we get into arguably the best gaming day of the month. Dennis, thank you so much for coming as always, and for hanging out and playing with these very, very heavy games. Well, actually just one super heavy game, but like the other ones too. Super fun day. And this one, we got to play Apatha Bakery. This was a very pleasant surprise. I was kind of scared because I love the artwork. I loved the theme about it and the intricacies of like the beginning details, but I didn't realize like how much fun it was going to be. So in Apatha Bakery, you are a apothecary baker hybrid. So you're trying to heal dungeoneers coming out of their dungeon by making the right potions and by also baking the right cakes for your explorers. And if that doesn't sound fun already, like, come on, it's so good. So in this game, there are 3 phases. And in your hand, you have these pets that you send out on a journey to scavenge for resources. But the thing is, each pet has a certain stamina level. So the higher your stamina, yes, the more that you can gather, but you also have least priority. And that's a big deal because everyone else who has lower priority can actually take more ingredients. And then you're left with practically nothing, or just like the top card from the deck. And what I love about this game is the next phase. So after there's this kind of, it's sort of like a bidding system in the beginning because you don't know what you're going to get. You're trying to get for stuff. you're trying to get stuff, you don't know if you're going to get it. And then with those ingredients, on the next turn is the alchemy phase. Here's where all the fun begins, because on your board, you have all of these unique powers that you can use one time. Like, it's not one time per game, but you have a certain pool of mana. And once your mana is depleted, then that's it for the entire game. So you can use one ability per round, 2 abilities per round, or no abilities per round. But the more abilities you use, the more mana you consume. So you can see how, like, as you space out your mana pool here, that this conservation of resources makes it really fun, because then you're kind of pacing yourself and you don't know whether or not to go too fast or too slow or whatever, right? And then during the alchemy phase, you're ultimately trying to make potions with the stuff that you gathered in the last round. And I think the most fun part about this entire game is this semi-cooperative element, because you have all these dungeoneers. And if you don't heal them every round and they stay there, they're going to like slowly die over time. So the next round, they're going to lose 1 health. And it makes sense because they're sick. All of them are sick with some kind of disease or poison. And that's why we're here, to bake them goods and to make these potions to heal them. If you don't heal them, then they're going to die. And if they die, they actually have a ghost form. And in their ghost form, it affects everyone around the table. So you're kind of watching everyone else's ingredients to see who they're going for, but you still don't really know who's going to get to heal that person, because whoever heals that person is who's going to score the most points at the end of the game. And the most dungeoneers healed is who wins. So I love this kind of push and pull between who is trying to heal who, and whether or not we're working together temporarily to make sure we don't get that ghost poison that affects all of us. So Apatha Bakery, really fun. I loved it, and I can't wait to play more of that one. And then going into the next game, this is right here, was my favorite game played of May. That was Galactic Cruise, another space game up high in the ranks. Now, I will say that I'm going to need a bit more time. Maybe like, I don't even want to play it 3 times. I want to play it like 4 to 5 times to make sure I really, really know this one. That way I can talk about it well. So thank you for being patient here. I know there are a ton of daily vlogs. I'm getting back to my reviews. It's taking time to put stuff together. You all know how it is, but I appreciate you for staying with me. Now, with Galactic Cruise, I will immediately say that one thing I don't like is that I'm constantly looking for symbols in the game. And because I don't know them yet, since it was our first play, I'm looking at the player guides, and the player guides have no symbol reference. And I'm like, why? Why is that a thing? That should be immediate. So the player guide isn't my favorite thing. They also put your steps and what you should do on the very back page, which I find it kind of weird. Like, why not just put it immediately? Because the player aid is for you to aid the player. Well, the first thing players need to know is what are they doing on their turn. So I find the layout kind of weird. I find the missing information kind of weird. But once you get the flow of the game, it's a lot of fun. And I know that the mistake that we made, like all of us made immediately, except for my wife, Jackie, the mistake that we made was that we're trying to build too big. In Galactic Cruise, you're a CEO and you ultimately want to launch spaceships. But the thing about this game is that you need to launch as fast as possible. And you should just launch with a very small ship, because you can launch with a small ship a lot faster. And once you do, you're having this period at the very beginning of your phase where as a spaceship is progressing, you're going to gain resources as like that spaceship is in space and it has all of these adventurers / explorers kind of gaining resources for you. So you want to get that started immediately, because then that will help you build out a bigger spaceship even faster than if you were to go straight from nothing to big spaceship. So that was the big mistake that we all made. But then we also played 2 rules wrong. One of them was that we didn't know that I don't remember the term off the top of my head, but it was like the carriage or something like that. The carriage is only like the middle pieces, the mid piece. So the cockpit and the engine doesn't count for the mid pieces. And that matters because when you launch a ship, you need to have enough oxygen. It's a big deal. Like, that's the biggest thing about Galactic Cruise, is that it's a very complex game and you need a lot of stuff in order for you to launch a ship. One thing that you need is oxygen. And we thought that you need oxygen for every single piece in your ship, but in reality, you only need it for the middle pieces, which makes sense because that's where your passengers are staying. So that was one big rule that we messed up on. And the second one also was a big one, because like it's hard to pay attention to this, but there are these goals. I think it's like company goals in the game. And once you meet that goal, then you get it and it goes up. So I still need to figure out what's exactly happening there, because let's say if one person reaches 5 things they need to get. Forgive me for not knowing terminology at this point, but I just know that there were 5 things that we needed to get. And my question was, if one person already got 5 things and no one else reached 5 yet, and then the next step is for them to get 6 of those things, does that person who just got 5 get the 6th reward too? And then the 6th reward becomes the 7th reward? Because that feels kind of overpowered unless someone's competing with them to get to that rank. So it was on the bottom left of the board. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there was like an overall company goal system that was hard to keep track of. So overall, I love this game because it is a worker placement game. And as complex as it is, once you get the flow of it, it makes a lot of sense because you take your employees out of the break room and then you send them over to the university, and there are 6 different spots. Now, in those 6 spots, they can take 2 actions each in all of those areas. And I think Galactic Cruise is one of the most difficult games to teach because it really hurt my brain trying to figure out how to connect the actions together, like what makes sense. And there is a linearity to it, but you don't have to do it in a linear order. You don't have to build part of your ships right now if you want to gather resources now, which then means like you can also try to get a stronger employee, which was like the advanced lab worker. There's so many options, it's a bit overwhelming. So I think when I'm teaching this game for the next one, what I did initially was I taught, this is how you get money. This is what you spend money on. This is what we're trying to do. I think that's the best way to teach the game right now, but there are a lot of options for you to take. And I know it can be overwhelming. So this is not a game that where I'm going to try to do it like Root where teach a brand new player. Because this one is immediately like, this needs to be for like expert / advanced players for sure. Either way, I loved it and I can't wait to play that one again. Definitely my favorite of May because launching a ship is so satisfying once you get to that point. It's just that I took too long to launch my ship, so that was my mistake, and I really need to build on my ships faster next time to get that engine going really fast. So love it, and I can't believe this is now my 3rd space game after being so anti-space for a very long time. Now we have Andromeda's Edge, Arcs, and Galactic Cruise hitting my board game shelf, which is very unheard of. Now, going from there, we had 2 more games played in May. I honestly thought Apatha Bakery and Galactic Cruise was going to take up most of our day. So then I didn't have like too many other games planned, and we spontaneously just learned and played Kyoto Neko. I played this before at Essen, but I just need a quick refresher. So as everyone's punching on boards, I ended up learning it real quick. And this also is like a silly game because all you're doing in your turn is that you're a cat and everyone evolves together. And your goal is to level up your cat as fast as possible. And you do that with every single space that you take on your turn. Because on your turn, you can move up to a certain number of spaces, like 3 to start out with. And then when you move to a space, there's like a pink paw print. And you open up the paw print and it'll tell you something is happening. Like you meet a dog that's going to try to bite you, or you have a school person that you need to run away from, or you're trying to befriend a bug to put in your home. And they're all revolved around skill checks. So you need to just roll dice and meet that number in order for you to take that beetle home, or run away from the schoolgirl, or avoid that dog. And I think the funniest part about this game is that every time you cross the street, there are these bicyclists, a grandma and grandpa bicyclist, and they can run you over. And if they do, then you get sent back home. So really, really silly, fun game, but I enjoyed it a lot because it's just, 1, it's Japan themed, and 2, is just silly fun. That's all it is. Now from there, one game that I've been wanting to play ever since I built the insert on it this is our last game of the month, which was Ankh. Now, I do want to get into the Pharaoh expansion and all of the other expansions, but I kind of needed a refresher to that, so this was a prime refresher. We had a 4-player game of it. I finally got to play as Sobek, which is like the crocodile god, and he's crazy cool because he can spawn water tiles and change the landscape in Ankh, which is unheard of. There was another god that someone played where if they are close to you, they convert your soldiers into their own during battle. Ultimately, if you've never played Ankh before, you're basically are fighting in this Egyptian desert with all of these crazy monumental gods. I'm not even joking, like they're huge. And all those gods, naturally, have asymmetric powers. And every turn, what you're doing is there's this unique system where everyone is taking actions from the same board. So like if you want to move, then you move from the general board. And once that action gets to the very end, then you're going to trigger an event. And that event could be a battle. It could be camels blocking your path in the map. That way it changes the landscape. And the best part about this game, why I love Ankh so much, is that you're gaining victory points by these battles. So every time you're fighting, everyone has the same hand of cards, but you don't know what each other's going to play. And then if you win the battle and you win the region, then you start scoring points. But the thing is, by the end of the game, if you are not out of the red region, meaning like your score is too low, then you're out of the game. So everyone is vying and scratching and clawing to get higher in the ranks. And what's also really cool is that the last two players ranked, let's say like 3rd and 4th place, they will merge together by a certain point in the game. And that's the best part about Ankh, because gods will literally fuse together, combine each other's powers, and they become a super god. And then you have the person last place that's super strong while also competing with whoever is already having strong resources in 1st and 2nd. So that is one of the most interesting dynamics about Ankh and why I continue to love it a ton. I know a lot of you recommended me playing the Pharaoh expansion. I can't wait to dive into it. I saw like a bunch of priests and everything that I really can't wait to dive into. The base game is really easy to get into, so I don't see why the expansions, don't see why I haven't added expansions first, but I think there was just such a big gap between me playing Ankh like now and the last time I played it that I just wanted a general refresher before now that it's like fresh in my head, I can get into the expansions and start teaching and playing those. So with that said, I thought it was a wonderful gaming month. I told you all my least favorite, which was Skulking, and my favorite, which was Galactic Cruise, which I absolutely cannot wait to play again. So with that said, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as I talk about all of my fun games I got to play in the past month. I hopefully can do this again in June. And yeah, we'll continue this series going forward. So if you made it here to the very, very end, okay, I know we did this one already, but I think it's fitting for today's video. Go ahead and comment space for the 3rd space game being added to the collection and being honestly like a banger. Like it was so good. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you all tomorrow.